Doing pretty well. Physically, I've been recovering pretty well so far. I now have movement in all of my limbs. Um, I still have these external fixators on my wrists holding everything together. But with time, everything should be healing. I might never be 100%, but I'm alive, and I should be at least walking and independent in the future.
What is your recovery looking like right now?
So right now I am still bedridden. However, at the end of the month, I'll be going to see the doctors, and if everything goes according to plan, they'll be giving me the okay to start putting some weight, at least on my legs, so I can start attempting to walk again. And um, again, I do have movement in my arms. Unfortunately, I do not have movement in my fingers, but they say that hopefully with time, the nerves will grow back. And with future surgeries, they can work more on the ligaments and the tendons in my wrists that were severely damaged. And hopefully I'll be able to have some movement in my fingers again in the future.
Okay. So let's talk about this attack on you. What happened?
Um, so working at the homeless shelter, one of the things that I would sometimes do is when we get really busy during lunchtime, I would go down and assist everybody down there. And as things had calmed down, one individual came in. He went up to the counter. He was looking to get some lunch, which we provide Monday through Friday. And he asked, what was for lunch? And the guy serving lunch, which is kind of like, oh, it's written on the board. The guy kind of got upset and he says, oh, well, it's written in the book for you, white devil. And my coworkers and I were sitting at a table right there next to the counter. And we hear this and we're just kind of like, whoa, like, you can't be using language like that in here. We try to be respectful with everybody. And the guy, he plays it off. And uh, so he goes, sits down with his lunch, but things kind of continue to escalate. We try to intervene, we try to calm him down, give him a few chances, but eventually he became more disrespectful. He called me a white devil, and he was just very agitated. So I went, spoke with my boss about asking the person to leave for the day. And my boss said, okay, he would call the police just in case we needed some help escorting the guy off our property. When I went back downstairs, I told him, he seemed very calm. He was saying, oh, okay, because I told him, finish up your lunch real quick if you want to, but I'm sorry, you got to leave for the day. He then asked if he could go and get his property out of the gym locker that we have available for him. And he went to go into the locker room. I went, sat down, thought nothing of it. A moment or two later, my boss comes down, goes to the locker room, and my boss starts screaming, watch out. This guy's walking towards me. It didn't even click in my brain. I saw something in his hands, but I didn't realize what it was. Honestly, like I black out for a moment. I don't remember running away, but I remember being on the stairways, running up towards the door. And next thing I know, I'm on the ground, I'm on the stairs, and I look down and he's right behind me. And I start kicking at him. And, that's when he starts really swinging the swords and he's hitting my legs. And my legs, like, they literally start to fall apart. And thankfully my body went into shock. I don't remember any pain, but I just see him just swinging, and I see my coworkers behind them. They're all screaming for him to stop. And eventually he does stop, and I kind of black out. Apparently he had turned and like walked away. He stayed within our building, and people were just so focused on me, trying to make sure I was okay. I don't know where he went in the building, but a few minutes later, he comes back and everybody starts screaming. And my coworkers, they're next to me, they're trying to help me out. And he's telling them, get out of the way, get out of the way. And he's standing over me and he's telling me to move my arms because I start holding my arms up and he's swinging. And, you know, that's when really my, my hands didn't come completely off, but they were, they ended up pretty much hanging off of my wrist, and I'm still holding up the rest of my arms, trying to protect my head. He did catch me once or twice on the head. Thankfully, the sword had deflected off of my arms, but I don't know why he stopped, but he does. And when he leaves, I thought I was dying, to be honest. And I even remember reaching down for my phone because I wanted to call my mom. I wanted to say goodbye, but my hand obviously it was hanging off, and I couldn't. And one of my coworkers even said, "Who are you trying to call? I'll call them for you." And he calls my mom, but I started to black out, and I don't really remember much until the police arrived. But thankfully, they put tourniquets on all of my limbs, and I was able to get into the ambulance. And thankfully, I'm still here today. So,
Did you think you were not gonna make it through this
oh
attack?
yeah, I did not. I did not think. I remember specifically thinking, that this was as he's swinging away. I remember thinking, this is it. This is how I'm gonna go. And yeah, yeah. So I'll say that yeah, I didn't think I was gonna make it through this attack, but uh yeah, I guess there was some reason why I'm still here today. So I'm trying to follow through and make good on my chance at life now. So
You've made a commitment to help other people. Do you think that's one of the reasons why you're still here, to help others?
that's what I'm gonna do. I've been doing that since I had the opportunity to work at the homeless shelter, which I love doing. It was because I wanted to help people who don't have the resources that I've had available to me. I recognize that obviously um, I could have very easily fallen on hard times, but I had family who was able to help me out. And I want to make sure that other people, if they don't have family or friends who are able to help them out in their hard times, that they have somewhere to go, whether it's a homeless shelter or wherever they need resources. I want to be a part of that resource to help them.
What are your thoughts about the person who committed this attack on you? Have you forgiven him?
Yeah. So I don't really know the individual. I don't know his circumstances, but I believe that forgiveness is not so much about the other person. Forgiveness is about the individual who's doing the forgiving. And I've learned throughout my life, it took me many years, but I learned that anger is definitely a poison. And if you hold on to it, it's going to destroy you. It's not going to destroy others. So I have forgiven him. I believe he needs to be held accountable for his actions, but I'm not going to hold on to anger. I'm not going to hold on to some type of desire for vengeance. I just want accountability.
Let's go back in time to when you were a kid. Um, I've seen the video of you. You look like a baby, like a child. You're so young at that time. Let's
Mhm.
let's go back in time and talk about what your thoughts were and what you were struggling with when you made this decision to walk into the school with a weapon. When you decided to walk into your school with a weapon, what was going through your mind? What kind of state
Well,
were you?
well, I'll tell you this. Um, there is numerous factors that go into it, and everybody, whether it's myself or others who have done these types of actions, everybody has their own circumstances that bring them to that point. I can tell you that I believe mental health is one thing that we can focus on because although that's not the reason, I believe that is a big piece in the puzzle that can be easily addressed. And if we can address that, not only can we prevent future actions like that, but we can prevent uh, overdoses, we can prevent suicides, we can prevent all types of tragedies and save many lives through spreading knowledge about mental health, ending the stigma against mental health, and allowing people to come forward and get the help that they need. Because Um, that is something in our society that we're lacking, unfortunately. We have made momentum, but the momentum needs to grow. It needs to be something that is on the forefront of our minds, and it can prevent so many tragedies, not just shootings, whether it's in schools, places of worship, movie theaters, wherever. We can prevent all the overdoses, the suicides that are constantly happening every day. If only we can focus more on mental health, not just mental illness, but mental health overall, everybody's health, not just physically, talking about mentally, because everybody has ups and downs. So, how can we help people when they are going through those downs so they can lift themselves back up and not downward spiral and make the decisions that will lead them to some type of terrible, horrible decision?
Would you say at the time you were struggling with some mental illness that had emerged, and was that what was going on?
That was definitely a factor, yes. I'll tell you this, that one thing I wish I could tell my teenage self, and one thing I want to make sure that everybody out there knows, not just adolescents and teenagers, but adults also. One thing that we often struggle with is being truly open and honest, not only with ourselves, but with others. And often we hold a lot of things in because we are afraid of rejection. We're afraid if we show people our true selves, that they will no longer want to be around us, that we'll end up being alone. But I found more often than not, when I open up, when I share with people, people are more accepting. People are more able to understand and relate. And there have been so many people who've reached out to me and have told me that when they hear me talking about my battles with depression, that they've gone through similar trials and tribulations, that they've had similar thoughts. Thankfully, they haven't done anything like I have, but I found a lot more acceptance than I ever thought I would have. And I believe that other people can do that with whatever circumstances they're going through. If you open and honest with people, more oftentimes than not, believe it or not, people will be able to accept you. And that's an amazing feeling when you do show your true self. The things that you thought that nobody would be able to understand, trust me, it's a weight off the shoulders. And that's part of why my mental health has been able to improve.
How old were you when you went to prison? How long did you stay? And how did you turn prison into an opportunity for you of sorts?
So I went to prison. I went to jail when I was 16, and I was sentenced and sent to state prison at 17 years old, and I spent just under 17 years in prison. Um, Honestly, my first few years in prison, I was just kind of going with the flow, and it was with a lot of people, especially my family, who were telling me that this is the time to change your life around. Don't wait until you go home. Now is the time to change your life. So I was able to, mainly because of outside resources, change my life around. Unfortunately, our prison system is not set up in a way that it helps people turn their lives around. Our prison system is set up solely to keep people out of society. We do have some resources uh, in our correctional facilities, but they're dearly lacking. And that's why it's hard, because if you don't have money, if you don't have family, you're not going to be able to turn your life around like I did. I was able to do it because my family kept sending me books. My family had the money to visit me and to help me out in every way possible, whether it was answering phone calls and giving me, um, a way to vent and to talk. But phone calls are expensive. Gas is expensive. When your family has to drive 3 hours away to visit you, a lot of people don't have that ability. And those were some of the key things that helped me turn my life around, because the environment in prison isn't about healing. It's not about turning your life around. So we need to either change that, or we're never going to have people coming home from prison that are healthier and more successful.
Why did you choose to you could have sort of disappeared and lived your life, but after coming out of prison, you accepted this offer to give a glimpse into the mind of a would-be shooter by talking to law enforcement. Why did you choose to do that?
I chose to open up and to talk with law enforcement because I believe that it's important not only to have served my time, but to now work towards making sure that other crimes like mine are never committed. And um, so that's a very lofty goal, obviously. However, it's something that I want to strive towards because I have not only spoken with the law enforcement along with Ken Cooper, but actually I've also met with FBI's behavioral analysis unit in private, and I've been in contact with them because I believe that this is very important that we can talk about these things and help prevent any tragedies like mine or anything else because I can't undo what I've done. I can't take away the pain and suffering from my victims. I can never do that. I can never make right what I've done, but I can try to make sure that there are fewer victims in the future for other people.
How do you see your future moving forward?
I mean, I thankfully Ken Cooper has come into my life, and I want to continue helping people, whether it's working with the homeless, but with Ken Cooper, he's definitely somebody who was willing to open up and give me a chance to work with law enforcement, and I want to continue to do that and to work with whether it's if there are school administrations, teachers, or even if I have the opportunity to speak with students to be able to help them again focus on mental health and to make sure that nobody goes down the path that I do, because law enforcement is often about reactive measures. I want to be about proactive measures. How can we help students and teenagers before they ever even think about doing something like I did?
So let's get Ken on the call. Ken, can you unmute yourself? And then,
Okay, I'm good.
okay.
Hey,
And
Ken.
so
Morning, John. You're looking good.
Ken.
Thank you, buddy.
So let's just talk about this. Why did you reach out to Jon?
Well, back obviously when John and I had met, I had thought, what better way to maybe prevent another incident, whatever the incident might be. So I had reached out, got John's information, called John. He called me right back. We met, just as a couple of guys that didn't know each other. First time meeting anybody like that. We talked about what happened, where he was, mentally. And I think it really helped me kind of understand what John was thinking, where he was as a child, what preventative measures could have been taken to stop another incident like this. And I've got a ton of gratitude towards John, just the fact of how he helped me. We're not done yet though. Once John obviously gets better here, and obviously he's looking great right now. Once he gets done his rehabilitation, we could go back out, whether it be a school, talk to other law enforcement, and just kind of like John summed it up best, the mental illness part of this. Let's try to fix that. We've got a lot of young kids in schools today that are having some issues, whether it be, mental illness or they're just, they're not coping well with school. And I'm hoping I can get John into, whether it be the school I'm at now or other schools in the county, just so because, and this guy, I mean, John, I'm talking about the fact of, he's forgiven this guy, and John's, laying in a hospital bed, still having a recovery. And John's the first guy to say, nope, I want to go back. I want to help this guy. And that's what makes John a special guy, just because of the fact of he's endured what he has, but yet let me forgive this guy. He's going to serve some time, but yeah, I'm going to try to help him when he gets out. Similar to what John's doing with me right now, trying to help me to stop another incident. And I couldn't ask to, when I first met John, I wasn't sure what to expect. And again, it's a friendship that will be forever, no matter where we are.
How is he helping you help law enforcement better understand the mind of a would-be shooter?
Well, I think there's not a lot of police officers that have a chance to actually talk to somebody that was going through what John was. And I think that helps me. If I can stop another incident within a school of a kid that's just isolated, let's face it, everybody has a bad day. John had a number of things that were leading up to what caused him to do what he did. And there's might be other kids that are thinking about something like this. So if John can just, the information that John provided me helps me, whether it be in a school cafeteria or in a classroom, is there a kid that's isolated? Is it just a bad day? Or is there a number of things or a number of signs that I can pick up that might stop another incident like this? And that's really what this is about what John's doing, whether it be, with the homeless or whether it be helping me get through this. So, I mean, it's going to be good for people to hear John speak, whether it be students, faculty, or it could be a number of things that John's going to talk about. So that's my goal. And as soon as John gets better, that's going to be our goal together.
We got 3 minutes, so I'll let you answer this question. After we aired your story in February, there were a lot of people who reacted saying, what are you trying to make this guy into a hero? What would you like to say to those people who still see you as this kid who wanted to hurt so many?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question, because actually I was about to bring that up, is the fact that I know that my appearance, my speaking out is hurtful to many. And I definitely understand those people who are upset with that. And I want to let them know that the last thing I want to do is to cause more pain and suffering for people. I would not be doing this if I did not think that I can be doing more good than the harm that I'm causing to those people, who are angry and upset at seeing me. And I just want them to know that I understand that they just want to make sure that their kids, that their community is safe, and they see me as a possible threat. I want to let them know that I am here to help eliminate future threats. And I just hope that I can do that for them.